The lines are open on 011-542-2186. The question is, what would a reasonable person do in these circumstances? And is this an indictment on law enforcement? Siyabulela Gentile, not in my name, a Chief Executive Officer and a co-founder, joins us in studio. Good evening to you, Mr. Gentile. A really sad state of affairs where the community now have to essentially fight the scourge of crime. You also ask yourself, why did law enforcement not react in time?
Yes, good evening, Cindy. I think it is a very important aspect that we need to highlight on this entire story, the response time. It's one of the factors that contributed to the incident that took place. But at the end of the day, as a parent, myself to a daughter, I understand where the woman is coming from. I mean, you cannot just walk in to people raping your daughter and try to negotiate with them. It's going to turn very bad. But this is not the time to be throwing around faults at police and everyone else who is or who could have been involved. But to say that this incident has happened and we do not condone it, but we say that the mother has done what she had to do, and we support her as the movement.
Yeah, you're saying that the punishment being meted on the alleged perpetrator who died fits the crime.
Well, I cannot play God in this instance, but and my thinking is that the mother had not intended to kill this guy. However, her intentions, even if she did, I would like to think that she reacted impulsively, out of anger and out of frustration. But as a father, again, not as an activist or as a public figure, I would say yes, it does fit it. The father of the dead guy was quoted saying on News 24 that his son did not deserve to die that way. And my question was, whose daughter was supposed to be raped that way by 3 men? So it's a case of who says what. But at the end of the day, we still say that as a movement, that South Africa is facing the scourge of violence against women, against femicide. We are facing rape culture. And if the people feel that they are tired and they want to take law into their own hands, though we're not condoning it, we do understand where they come from.
But we require a paradigm shift, or almost a cathartic healing process, as you are saying, that we are inherited, at least, this rape and violent culture, that the tragedy is on both sides, where the father had lost the son, and on the other hand, as you're saying, nobody deserves to have their person violated by any means. So why then do you find, especially in distressed communities, that there is not as much resources or much assistance from law enforcement?
Yeah, that's a good question. In Qumbu in particular, I've read that the area is prone to such incidences. Women there are being raped day and night, and patriarchy rules. If you're a woman, you can't say anything. And these women go through all these things. That is why after the incidents, it said that over 100 women gathered and showed support to this lady, and they actually shared their stories. So it's a very sad state of affairs, and we as the movement, Not in My Name SA, that is why most of our programs, especially the one we are doing with the SAPS now, Case Closed, will be focusing on these areas, especially the villages and rural areas, because we need to understand that due to geographical logistics, you find a village is located, 100 kilometers or 50 kilometers away from the people, and that affects the rate at which the police respond. And in this incident, it was very unfortunate that it had to happen that way. So the civil movement, societies, and the police, and all ordinary citizens of South Africa should work together in ensuring that the people in those areas are also serviced, just like everyone else in South Africa.
Let's get a view from the National Prosecuting Authority in the Eastern Cape. Their spokesperson there is Luxolo Kyali. Good evening to you, and thanks so much for joining us. We hear that the charges were dropped, in a sense, because of lack of evidence, but nonetheless, in terms of the corrective measures in enabling community members to live in harmony, and particularly women and children not to live in fear, what was the rationale for the NPA not to prosecute?
Well, I think good evening and thanks for the opportunity. It was not The charges were not withdrawn due to lack of evidence, but they were withdrawn because a number of factors were taken into consideration, including a number of legal principles. And we felt that continuing with the prosecution, we cannot sustain the prosecution or we cannot secure a conviction. So what we have done now, we have requested the magistrate to hold a formal inquiry or a formal inquest into the death of that deceased person. So for now, that is the situation.
All right, so what would a formal inquiry then entail if it's not necessarily a court proceeding where you'd have to have witnesses or character witnesses, material contributors to the case?
It's a formal inquest wherein the circumstances surrounding the death of that person will be investigated and witnesses will be called. But in this instance, the person that was brought by the police as an accused person in this matter won't be an accused person, but will be part of that inquest.
All right, please stay on the line, Mr. Gyali. We have a caller, Brayton, in Benoni. Good evening to you. Hi, Brayton. Hi, can you turn down your TV set? It's giving us feedback. Hello, Brayton.
Hello, how are you doing?
Yes, I'm very well. How are you?
No, I'm fine.
What's your comment or question?
The comment is about, if you look at the crime, the rampant crime that is here, my sister, it's very, very unfortunate that people, they end up taking what we call the law into their hands. But at the end of the day, you can't help it but feel shame and sorry for women, young kids. You know, people are raped like as if it's a business, of which that is very nonsensical, man. So imagine if you police, they take about 2-3 hours to attend an issue, and then they can tell you that we didn't have enough friends or whatever. You see, but it's unfortunately, of course, we cannot, by any standard, condone what we call somebody murdering somebody. But as a test, imagine somebody raping like your wife, your daughter. You can take whatever many steps to stop. So this is about the government, police, or whoever, the authorities, to take any action as soon as possible, because things are now sort of getting out of hands.
Yeah. Brighton, and I agree with you. Brighton calling us from Benoni saying that self-preservation, it is human nature to want to protect yourself from imminent harm. Let's go to Teresa, or Tessa rather. Good evening to you, Tessa.
Hi, Cindy. Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I'm from East London.
Yes, ma'am.
Cindy, this mother did not intend to kill. Her motherly instincts kicked in, and her focus was only to protect her daughter. Her only weapon was obviously a knife, and she did not probably go out there to kill these guys. She went out to hopefully scare them, and they more than likely turned on her, and then the mother reacted, hence the stabbings. They asked for what they got. Do not mess with a mother's child. Do not mess with a mother's child. It was not justice or vigilantism. It was just a pure motherly protection of her daughter. Thank you.
Tessa, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Mr. Gyali, in weighing this circumstantial evidence and also the sense that as a mother, you would give your life for your children, and that this is a natural reaction and not necessarily vigilantism, or you could even call it self-defense. Would that hold in a court of law or in the inquiry?
At the moment, I don't think I'm at liberty to venture into or preempt what is going to be presented in the inquiry. But what I can say is that we did take into consideration the statement that the accused person made to the police in as far as her account of the what happened on the day. So that is why we took a decision not to prosecute her at this stage. So whatever she will raise as her defense, or whatever is going to be presented in the inquiry or in the inquest, I don't think it would be proper to venture into that at the moment, at this stage.
Yeah, but I'm just saying mitigating circumstances would be the fact that, if you fear for your life, I think in empowering other people as well, unfortunately, in such a violent society that we live in, what are your rights in terms of the ambit of the law when you have to protect yourself in a certain circumstance, in this case where your loved one or your daughter is being raped?
I think it is common knowledge that one has a right to self-defense, but then one has to be within the limits of that of self-defense and not go beyond those limits. But as I've said, that I wouldn't like to discuss the specifics of this case before the inquest has been held.
Yes, Mr.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, please stay on the line. We have Felix in Mbombela. Good evening to you, Felix.
Thank you, Cindy, for taking my call. Actually, the dominant narrative is that the woman is trying to protect her daughter, and it's obvious, it's natural. If somebody break into my house in the middle of the night, try to kill me, or rape my children, or whatever, naturally I will defend myself. Whether he survived, whether I die, I wouldn't even know who is going to die anyway at that point in time. There's no way you could have measured and say, no, I'm just going to defend myself to this extent so that this person don't die, because you don't even know who is going to die at that point in time. So the dominant narrative is obviously geared towards the old woman defending her daughter. But the fact is this, it should have gone for trial. Maybe another narrative is going to come out through that trial. And I wish ANN7 should have invited the family of the man that died to come and present their own case. Why are they feeling that their child should not have died like that? Because there's always two sides to a story.
Felix, thanks so much for bringing another dynamic to the debate. Sakina Mohammed is with the Great Rape Intervention, GRIP in short, as their CEO. Thank you so much for joining us. We're talking about mitigating circumstances. Of course, this is a matter that is before court, but in self-preservation, is that, in your view, reason enough to one, for self-defense, and secondly, we can say that there wasn't a premeditated intention to kill, because the woman in question called the police, they failed to arrive, and then she took action?
Cindy, we need to start off by saying that we as society and her daughter in a very, very tenuous situation. It is totally unfortunate that this person has died. We do need to, but also at the same time, it is actually a difficult situation. As you know, as a mother, any mother would always protect their children. So, because we don't have the police responding almost immediately, we don't have the justice system that really protects society, and then it is almost as if you are left out on the cold to actually defend yourself. Because she called the police, she did the right thing, and the police did not turn up in time. Now, her daughter was being raped. Somebody alerted her to that. How do you just sit and wait for something or someone to come and assist you? You need to take a precaution, and you need to defend your children. If you don't defend your children, who's going to?
As you're saying, Sakina, it is one of the greater parental responsibilities is to protect, nurture, love, and keep your children safe. And of course, the court will decide in the best interests of all parties concerned. Let's go to Mam Zondo in Cosmos City, and Wilton, we see you as well. Sawubona Mam Zondo.
Yeah.
Ninjani?
Siyaphila njani?
Siyaphila nathi. Yebo, masikumamela.
Mina ngithi yazi kubuhlungu kanjani ukuthi umzali ubone umntanakho ezorejwa abantu abawu3 bese yathula what is painful kulento eyenzakalayo. Okokuqala umama ufonela amaphoyisa adelay le eyenziwe lo mama nami bengingayenza because I'm defending umntanami. Abantwana bethu bafile from January, abantwana barejwa babulawa kabuhlungu bafakwa zonke izinto endaweni eziyi-private zabo. It's pain singabazali ukuthi sibone labantwana. Ubaba yena it's pain ukuthi umntanakhe bekengeke afika so okabani umntwana bekufanele arejwa amadoda ayi-3. This is painful. I'm supporting that woman into ayenzile. I-aim yakhe bekungasukubulala but i-point yakhe bekefuna ukudefenda umntanakhe. So which means ufile ngoba sekwenzeke ngalendlela kwenzeke ngayo but i-point la ukuthi I'm supporting 100% that woman ogwazela abafana because really it's pain. Abantwana bethu bamantombazane bayasokolela abantwana benyawuphe ababulala abarape abantwana bethu. Ngiyabonga from Cosmos City.
Ngibonge kakhulu Mama Zondo. Thank you so much from Cosmos City. Wilton, good evening to you. Hi Wilton.
Hello, kunjani?
Siyaphila singezwa nini?
Nami ngiyavuya kakhulu. Mina umama lo usebenze kahle kakhulu. Ngoba kaloku umama kaloku ufana nesikhukazi esikhusela amantshontsho aso. Asifake phansi kweqhipho, phansi kwamaphiko, asigcine de bese kuseni. Yiyo ke lonto kulungile. Ukulungisa ujustice usebenze kahle kakhulu. Yamhalalisela mngaqhubekeke nabanye mabafunde xa kophula umthetho emehlweni wabo mabaphakame basebenze noma basebenza njani noma babona bafona amapolisa noma babiza omantshingilane noma babiza omakhelwane isikhalo wathinta umfazi wathinta imbokodo malibe linye nditsho.
Siyabulela Enkosi, Hilton and Grahamstown. The general sentiment saying, you know, we should support this woman. It's unfortunate or it's a tragedy that one of the perpetrators died. But nonetheless, you know, it sounds to me that we've reached a boiling point of frustration with the unease that we have around our own homes and our own neighborhoods. Mr. Gentile, you're saying that patriarchy still is rife and dealing with issues of violence is a very complex issue that doesn't just have one size fits all.
Yes, in fact, Cindy, according to me, it's not unfortunate what happened. We should not be beating around the bush and sugarcoating this thing. He lived by the sword, he died by the sword, and I believe that now the family should go and bury their dead. And then the other two guys who are still remaining in custody, they must face the full might of the law. And in my opinion, there is no case here. I'm also saying that the National Prosecuting Authority did the right thing. There is no case here, and they should let that woman be. She did what she had to do at the time that she had to protect her family. So the dead guy died. He was living by the sword. He died by the sword. We cannot be in a position to condone rape here, and this is sending a very strong message to all these criminals and rapists out there, that the people, as you said, have reached a boiling point. If they are not careful enough, they're going to die. And we call on everyone to fight this scourge of rape and women abuse in the best way as possible. But at the end of the day, we are not condoning killing of people.
Yeah. Mr. Kiali, just before we let you go, is this more a procedural judicial process as opposed to it necessarily being a case that will have a conviction in terms of its outcome? Mr. Kiali? All right, I think the NPA Eastern Cape spokesperson, we've lost him on the line. You're saying that there's no case. Let's just go back to Sakina Mohammed. How then do you support the woman in this case? And we also cannot be insensitive, I think, just from a compassion point of view of the parents who lost their son.
You know, we are really, really sorry for the parents who've lost their son, but also at the same time, I don't think anybody raises a rapist, you know. So we're really sorry about that. But can you imagine the mom who found her daughter in a position where she had to defend her daughter? Now they've become criminals. Can you see, I mean, as much as there's a loss here, but this, you know, sex is a beautiful thing. Sex is what we've all come from there. So why do we have to be violent about it?
There's certainly education. Sakina, I think we've lost you on the line as well. Our last caller, Junior in Soweto, good evening to you.
Good evening. Thanks for taking my call.
What's your comment or question?
My comment is that thinking from the perspective of the parents who lost a child, they may have lost a child, but the community has also in turn lost a criminal, so to speak. And I think, the element of whether the person who defended the victim was the mother should be taken out of it. We should be at a point where anyone in society should be in a position to help a rape victim, whether they're related or not. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, Junior, saying that there needs to be more vigilance, from the community, that the neighbors needed to jump in before the mother was even alerted, having to travel to get back to her home. Let's talk about the education around how we interact and how we coexist as male and female. You're talking about misogyny, general hatred towards women, and patriarchy, etc. How do we, in those areas, especially where the people may not be converted as such, how do you get that across?
I always say this, Cindy, that it is unfortunate that even if we start educating men now, for some it's a bit too late. I can tell you now there are a lot of men who believe that it's okay to abuse women. So the education for me starts with unlearning everything that we have learned. And it's going to take us years, unfortunately. If we are the generation that is going to say patriarchy, misogyny, and all these things end with us, then we must be willing to brace ourselves for the fact that the results are not going to be immediate. But the most important thing, as I said, is that we should unlearn and find new ways and new strategies to teach young boys, because those who are already old is going to be a problem. And that's where now we need the judicial system and the police ministry to come in there and assist us. If they are rehabilitated later on, that's good. If they are not, then the law should deal with them. Other than that, we must start our young boys while they're still young and teach them what a woman is not inferior. A woman is not it's not something that you can just toy around with. So in my opinion is that we need to start them young. Other than that, when they are old, let the Lord deal with them. Let the Lord deal with us. Let me not exclude myself from these issues, because I'm a man. I should take responsibility of these things that are happening.
Yeah, and it's worrying that you say that, because there were census done and statistics around how many women have been violated, especially in their adolescence, going into adulthood, and how men perceive women to be objects of their desire or something to exploit.
Yes.
And I think it cuts across the color lines and creed and racial barriers or what have you. But still, something can be done, though, Mr. Gentile. I don't expect you to give up now.
No, we're not giving up. In fact, part of the work that we'll be doing with the police ministry is that we'll be backdating cases to try and resuscitate cases that are previously neglected, because we believe that in order for the victims or for the survivors to move on past these incidences, they need to find closure, and that can only be done if their cases go to courts again, and then justice is achieved. So yes, we're not giving up now. Not in My Name South Africa is working with all the government, not all, but with most of the government entities to try and come up with practical and sustainable solutions in curbing social injustices.
Godspeed with those programs. Thanks indeed, as always. Siyabulela Gentile, Not in My Name, South Africa, Chief Executive Officer and co-founder. And we had on the line from the Eastern Cape, a National Prosecuting Authority spokesperson, Rukolo Kyali, and Sakina Mohammed, Greater Rape Intervention, or GRIP, CEO, joining us via Skype. And thanks for also contributing on this very difficult and sensitive subject. For now, though, we take a quick ad break. We'll see you shortly.